Welcome everyone and thank you for choosing my video. Today we are going to talk about skinwalkers, their legends, a bit about Skinwalker Ranch, and one of my favorite topics, cattle mutilation throughout the years. And if you're squeamish, here's your warning for this episode, this one might not be for you. But first of all, I'd like to start off with a story about skinwalkers, and I'm going to read this story out for you guys and then say my thoughts about it. So the first story, to start this off, I should say I'm not the best storyteller. I read a lot of posts on here and most people write these way better than I probably will, so just bear with me. I'm also going to change the names of everyone involved for privacy. I've thought about posting this for a while, but every time I start typing it out, I end up deleting it because part of me still thinks maybe there's a normal explanation for what happened and we just didn't figure it out. The thing that keeps bothering me though is that 4 of us were there and we all remember the same parts. This happened during summer of 2025. I live near the Appalachian Mountains in the northwest corner of Carolina, and if you've ever been out there, you know how huge the forests are. There are miles of woods with logging roads, dirt trails, and random clearings people sometimes camp in. You can go a long time without seeing another person. I've always liked exploring places like this, even though it's probably not the smartest idea sometimes. A few friends asked if I wanted to go on a camping trip for about 6 days somewhere deeper in the mountains than we normally go. I didn't really have anything planned that week, so I said yes pretty quickly. Looking back, I kinda wished I had thought about it more before agreeing. The day we left, I packed clothes, my tent, sleeping bag, and basic camping stuff. The plan was to meet at a clearing one of my friends had found online. It was about a 45-minute drive from where I lived. The other 3 had already left earlier that afternoon, so I was the last one heading out. While I was driving, we were on FaceTime, and they asked if I could stop somewhere and grab food for the trip. So I stopped at a small grocery store and picked up hot dogs, potatoes, chips, marshmallows, and some other stuff we could cook over the fire. When I walked back out to my car, the sky had that orange color it gets right before the sun sets behind the mountains. The 3 friends I was meeting were people I've known for years. I called the first one Jake. He was the one who planned the trip and was always finding weird trails or camping spots online. The second friend I called Liam. He liked camping but wasn't really the exploring abandoned remote places type. The third friend I called Marcus. Marcus was usually the one who brought alcohol on trips and convinced people to do dumb things. Eventually the paved road turned into gravel and then into a narrow dirt road through the trees. Around that time my phone lost signal, which didn't surprise me because that happens all the time out here. By the time I got to the clearing, it was almost dark. Jake's truck and Liam's car were parked near the tree line and Marcus had already started the fire. Everything felt normal at first. We set up tents, cooked some food and sat around the fire talking for hours. Jake and Marcus decided they were just going to sleep by the fire and Liam and I set up our tents a little farther away. The first 2 days of the trip were honestly normal. We explored some more trails during the day and hung around the campsite at night. The woods were quiet but in a normal way. You could hear crickets, wind in the trees and sometimes animals somewhere far away. Night 3 is when things started feeling strange. We were sitting around the fire again when Liam suddenly stopped talking and said he heard something in the trees behind us. Jake grabbed the flashlight and shined it out there. After a few seconds, the light landed on what looked like a deer standing between 2 trees, maybe 40 feet away. The weird thing was it wasn't moving. It was just standing there staring at us. Most deer run as soon as they see people, but this one didn't react at all. The longer we looked at it, the more uncomfortable it felt. It looked really thin and its head was tilted slightly to the side like it was studying us. Around that time, I started noticing a smell in the air. At first it was faint, but kept getting stronger. It smelled like rotten, something dead somewhere nearby. That heavy sour smell that sticks in your nose. The smell seemed like it was coming from the direction of the trees where the deer was standing. After a moment, the deer stepped sideways, but the way it moved looked stiff and awkward. Then it turned and walked back into the woods. Not long after that, the smell slowly faded away. Nobody talked much after that, and eventually we all went to sleep. Sometimes later in the night, I woke up because I heard leaves crunching outside my tent. At first I thought it was one of the guys walking around the campsite. Then I heard a voice saying quietly my name and telling me to come here. It sounded like Jake. I almost answered, but something about the way the voice sounded felt wrong. The tone was flat and strange. I unzipped my tent a little and looked out towards the fire and saw Jake and Marcus still asleep where they had been earlier. A few seconds later, I heard footsteps moving through the campsite. They circled around my tent slowly and then stopped right next to it. Through the tent of the fabric, I could hear breathing and it was really close. Then that same rotten smell came back, way stronger this time. It smelled like something dead was standing right outside my tent. After a moment, the footsteps started moving again. I heard them cross the campsite towards Liam's tent and eventually head back towards the trees. After that, everything went quiet again, but I didn't sleep the rest of the night. When the sun started coming up, I got out of my tent, and Jake was already awake. I asked him if he had been walking around during the night, and he looked confused and said no. Liam came out of his tent a few minutes later, looking pale, and immediately asked if Marcus had been outside calling for him during the night. Marcus was still asleep. Jake ended up finding footprints near the edge of the clearing. They looked almost human, but not quite. They were long and narrow, and the toes were pressed deeper into the dirt than the heels, like whatever made them was walking strangely. The tracks went from the woods, circled around every one of our tents, and then went straight back into the forest. We packed up that same morning and left the campsite days earlier than we planned. The walk back to the cars was quiet and nobody really said much. Even now, none of us can agree on what exactly we saw that night, but we all remember hearing the voices. None of us have gone back to that place since. That was our story, which I found on Reddit, and yeah, I think that was pretty eerie and definitely sounds like a skinwalker to me. One of the most common things in these stories is the smell. The smell always comes back, and it's almost part of every story. So I definitely believe it. Although if you believe in skinwalkers or not, it is up to you. And it is also said that saying the name skinwalker will cause them to haunt you. But some people say that it's only if you live in the Appalachians, which I don't, so I should be safe. Now a bit about the origins of skinwalker legends. In the Navajo culture, a skinwalker, I'm going to attempt to pronounce this, Yinadalushi, or aka skinwalker, is a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. The term is never used for healers, which is a really important distinction. The skinwalker, translating to by means of it goes on all fours, is one of several types of skinwalkers within Navajo beliefs. These witches are seen as the antithesis of Navajo values, performing malevolent ceremonies and using manipulative magic in stark contrast to the beneficial works of medicine people. The legend of skinwalkers is deeply embedded in Navajo tradition and rarely discussed with outsiders. The reticence is partially due to cultural taboos and the lack of contextual understanding by non-Navajos. Stories often depict skinwalkers using their powers for evil, and they are considered a source of fear and mystery within Navajo communities. Traditional accounts describe them as powerful sorcerers who, after engaging in various nefarious acts, gain the ability to transform into animals at will, which, as we heard from the stories. And now I would like to dive into Skinwalker Ranch, which isn't connected that much, but I found it really interesting. So I would like to say a bit about Skinwalker Ranch. Skinwalker Ranch was previously known as Sherman Ranch, is a property of approximately 512 acres or 207 hectares, located southeast of Ballard, Utah, that is reputed to be the site of paranormal and UFO-related activities. Its name is taken from the Skinwalker, a malevolent witch in Navajo legend, which I just explained. The idea of shape-shifting witches is present in the present-day Uinta Basin. Might be hard for some to believe, but not for the Sherman family, who purchased the ranch in 1994, with the intention of settling down and relaxing in their new country home, which didn't happen, as I'm about to explain. If that sounds like the beginning of a horror movie, it's for good reason. The Shermans experienced a lot of spooky going-ons during their time at the ranch, most notably with something matching the descriptions of a skinwalker. One night, Terry Sherman heard a noise outside and was startled to see a wolf in his yard, one much larger than he had ever seen. On a side note here, this is also very common in skinwalker stories. They are described often as wolves, larger than anyone had ever seen, and they are unaffected by gunfire and mortal weapons. Terry grabbed his gun from inside and shot the wolf several times, but his bullets appeared to do no damage whatsoever. Although the wolf did take off eventually, its tracks disappeared entirely as Terry chased it, as if it had simply vanished into thin air. The Shermans also reported other odd events: flashing lights in the sky, mysterious objects hovering above, strange circles appearing in their fields, eerie voices, and even several cases of cattle mutilations. There is a series on Disney Plus, I think. It's called The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. Unfortunately, I could not watch it because it is unavailable in my country, and everywhere I was looking for it, it was not available, but I recommend you check it out. Now, as I mentioned, cattle mutilations is our next topic. which I'd like to dive into a bit further, because cattle mutilations I found really interesting, and it's an unexplainable event. Some people think it's the doing of humans or cults, but I personally believe that it is something supernatural. And I have a lot of information about cattle mutilation throughout the years, and I would like to share some of that. So, cattle mutilations. Cattle mutilation is the killing and mutilation of cattle under supposedly unusually bloodless circumstances. Reportedly removed parts, often include an ear, eyeballs, jaw flesh, tongue, lymph nodes, genitals, and rectum. Reports began in the late 1960s and continued into the early 1980s, and there are still reports today, so it doesn't stop there. And there are reports into the today's, so it doesn't stop in the 1980s. While so many cattle mutilations are explainable through entirely natural means, multiple lines of evidence suggest that some portion of the cattle mutilations in the 1970s and 1980s might have been the result of organized effort by humans. Lab tests found some animals had been sedated with known drugs, unidentified, and it is said that unidentified aircraft set to sound like a quiet lawnmower were reportedly near mutilation sites. Cattle were found to have been marked with a chemical that glowed under fluorescent lights, suggesting some animals were pre-selected for the procedure. And I would like to share, and now one of the first ever reported case of cattle mutilation, the Snippy horse death of 1967. Unexplained livestock deaths were relatively unknown until 1967, when the Pueblo chieftain published a story about a horse called Snippy that was mysteriously found mutilated in Alamosa, Colorado. On September 9, 1967, Agnes King and her son Harry reportedly found the dead body of their 3-year-old horse. The horse's head and neck had been skinned and defleshed, and the body displayed cuts that to King looked very precise. No blood was at the scene, according to Harry, and a strong medicinal odor was in the air. Now, if you Google this case, there are pictures available online, although viewer discretion is advised. It is a defleshed horse, so look at it at your own will. The story was republished by the wider press and distributed nationwide. This case was the first to feature speculations that extraterrestrial beings and unidentified flying objects were associated with the mutilations. A subsequent investigation by Wadsworth Iyer for the Condon Committee concluded that there was no evidence to support the assertion that the horse's death was associated in any way to abnormal causes. Alamosa County Sheriff Ben Phillips suggested that the early death was probably due to a lightning strike and never bothered to visit the site. Early press coverage of the case misnamed Lady. The horse's name was originally Lady, and misnamed them as Snippy. Snippy was Lady's sire and belonged to Nellie's husband, Burl Lewis. Later press coverage mentions that the horse had been shot in the rump. However, 2 students from Alamosa State College confessed to sneaking out into the pasture and shooting the horse several weeks after the case was publicized. Waves of cattle mutilations were reported in Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, and New Mexico. And to add to this story, so the multiple college students confessed to sneaking out and shooting the horse, but there's no explanations for why it was defleshed from the neck down, from the head and the neck. I couldn't find any explanation for that one. And now, the 1973 Kansas wave. On June 14, a 700-pound heifer was found butchered on the Ray Wisner farm near Manden, Kansas. Its right ear had reported reportedly removed and right rear quarter butchered. Republic County Sheriff Bob Lecca argued that that was not the work of predators. 2 weeks later, on June 18, a second butchered cow was found on the Lowell Darcy farm, 20 miles away from the first butchered cow. Like the first, its right ear was removed. Local press initially speculated about a mad dog or phantom butcher. On August 9, a third butchered cow was found, this one in South County. On August 30th, a fourth butchered cow was reported, this one on the Larry LeBlanc farm, south of St. Joseph, in Cloud County. The right ear was again removed. On October 25, 3 cows in Harvey County were discovered with their sex organs removed. On November 15, press reported a slain cow on the Don Peter farm near Manden, the seventh animal death attributed to the butcher, the Phantom Butcher as they called it. By December 13, Kansas law enforcement reported having investigated a total of 40 mutilations, most occurring on land near US Highway 81. Now for the 1974 Nebraska wave. Reports resumed in April 1974 when a Nebraska cow was discovered mutilated and drained of blood. That month, the North American Newspaper Alliance reported on the 1973 mutilations along with sightings of unidentified helicopters. On August 20th, press reported a new twist in the mutilations. Days prior near Agnew, Nebraska, an unidentified helicopter had been spotted hovering 400 feet above where a mutilated cow would later be discovered. The helicopter was reportedly shining a spotlight into the fields. FAA and National Guard reported no knowledge of helicopters operating in the area. Knox County Sheriff Herbert Thompson reported that armed civilians had begun patrols Knox County Sheriff Herbert Thompson reported that armed civilians had begun patrols in response to repeated helicopter sightings. Cloud County Attorney William Walsh told press of a jailhouse informant who claimed to be a former court member and opined the mutilations were likely the result of devil-worshipping cultists. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation and the Kansas Brand Inspector were reported to lean towards predators as the cause. Amid the cattle mutilation jitters and drought, Oakland, Nebraska experienced a spate of beast sightings, and residents feared unidentified noisy nighttime animal. State San John DeCamp called on authorities to coordinate investigation into the mutilations, as on August 28, there had been 25 mutilations reported across 5 Nebraskan counties. On August 28, press reported that a rancher near Hannington had apparently thwarted a mutilation in progress when he found a helicopter above his field who was spotted by a neighbor who summoned the sheriff. All 3 reportedly witnessed the helicopter as well as a car that was also On August 28, press reported that the rancher near Hannington had apparently thwarted a mutilation in progress when he found the helicopter above his field, which was spotted by a neighbor who summoned the sheriff. All 3 reportedly witnessed the helicopter as well as a car that was also seen shining spotlight into the field. The following morning, a dead cow was found near where the helicopter had been spotted. The following morning, a dead cow was found near where the helicopter had been spotted, but the cow had not been mutilated. On September 11th, a supposedly mutilated cow was revealed at autopsy to have died of natural causes, bacterial infection. It was the 3rd such mutilation disproved by the authorities at the University of Nebraska's Department of Veterinary Science. On September 30th, papers reported on an unusual cow death where the animal was shot with a firearm, incised, and set aflame with fuel oil. Unlike other cases, the removed body parts were left on the site and no parts of the animal were taken. And now, fair warning, I'm going to talk about a human incident which was also presumed to be part of these mutilations. Many cases of mutilation have been reported worldwide since the 1970s. Many cases of mutilations have been reported worldwide since the 1967 snipping incident, chiefly in the Americas and Australia. In South America, an estimated 3,500 incidents have occurred since 2020. In South America, an estimated 3,500 incidents have occurred since 2002, when around 40 cases were reported. Mutilation investigators assert that a large number of cases are never reported to authorities, perhaps no more than 1 in 10. In 1993, photographic evidence surfaced of a mutilated male human corpse that was found near the Guarapiranga Reservoir of Sao Paulo, Brazil. In 1988, the victim's identity was kept private. Theories ranged from mundane criminal act of homicide to more fantastical speculation alleging alien abduction, due to the perceived similarities with UFO-related animal mutilations. An autopsy report concluded the wounds occurred while the victim was still alive, and the associated pain resulted in cardiac arrest. However, another independent investigation later concluded that he died from natural causes. And with that, we have come to the end of my research. I hope you guys find it just as interesting as I did, and thank you to everyone who watched my video, and have a spooky day.